You guys know what time it is. Get strapped in and ready for some good times. This is the Blowed Out Podcast. What is up, everybody? It is I, your favorite fatty with a natty, coming to you from the cold and finally snowy northern Utah. It's only been since, Christ, I don't know, like November. And don't get me wrong, I don't need the white stuff. It can hammer down the mountains as long as it steers clear of our hill for May. But other than that, I don't need it down here. We definitely need the moisture, but it can stay up there, you know, in the high parts, up there where hikers and stuff like to go. Not down here where I could fall and shatter a hip. After all, I am going to be 50 in less than 3 months, like almost 2.5 months to the day, which, you know, I've pretty much claimed I've been 50 for quite a while now, but this time it's actually going to be on paper, and I just don't know how I feel about that. I've already applied for AARP, you know, so I should be okay, right? I think. The bonus is I can go stuff my fat face at Golden Corral on the seniors menu, I believe. I'm pretty sure they do that for old white-haired guys. I probably have already done it. It's not a bad deal if you can get away with the senior citizen discount. And it's really, you know, they're not losing out on much. I don't eat much anymore. Supper time, you know, about 3, so I can be ready for bed by 6:30. You know, I'm doing all the old people stuff. Plus, you know, the old people ride, what is it, Handy Trans. It only comes around like, you know, once an hour, and it stops running at 5 p.m. So I've got to be wrapped up by then anyhow. Don't worry, I've got it all figured out. I've got a schedule down. I've got all my pills in the little divider with the days of the week. And then I printed some labels. I'm big into labeling now. I'm definitely labeling everything. It really makes things better when I can't see with or without my glasses. It's a win-win. You know, I've started giving my friends updates on how my days are based on my BMs. You know, I figure if I rip one down before I even get out of bed, it's not going to be a good day. Like, that pretty much just puts a damper on the whole day. But if I make it in one piece before things start to flowing, before the postum or the Sanka kicks in, whoo, man, look out, world. It's about to be a pretty darn nice day, by doggone it. All right. Enough with the old people jokes, I guess, for now. How is everybody? How's everybody doing? It's our first, I don't have to tell you guys, but first solo episode back of the new year. Sorry I had to take a little sabbatical, and honestly, I'm thinking about doing it again. There's just so much in the world. My God. And I'm going to do my best to steer clear of most of it, at least to the point of it being as depressing as it actually is. It's too damn wild, guys. I can't keep up, nor do I want to. Like, I want to go out, maybe do some recreational shooting at some clay pigeons, or, I don't know, skiing, you know, if I was a younger man, and my knees would still do it, and it wasn't $742 for a half-day lift ticket, I'd be down to do some skiing, but, yeah, it's cold, and my knees are trash, so that's out. But with the recent weather, I should say, not current, desert riding is right up my alley. I'm ready to start making dune trips again and heading out to the desert. It's been pretty damn nice for January, and I'm sorry for anyone who hasn't. I'm not trying to rub it in. I'm really not. I hope everybody's doing well, surviving all these crazy storms. Good Lord. you know it's a bad day when it snows in some of the places it's snowing in. So I hope all of our down south friends or anywhere else that the weather is just acting a complete fool are safe and warm. Hopefully you have power back if you lost it at all. It's sure a damn shame to lose a full fridge full of food or a freezer full of meat. So I hope that wasn't the case for any of you guys. Hope, like I said, hope everybody's surviving. It can't be any worse than being in a big city. Oh, Lord. Just pure madness. That's all I got to say. I do have to openly admit that I was wrong, which, I've been wrong before, like once. I've probably told you that before. But gold finally smashed $5,000 an ounce, guys. I don't know why I am so happy about that. Well, I'm happy about it because maybe one of these days the little bit that I have will be worth enough to sell, which, don't get me wrong, just shy of $5,100 an ounce is absolutely worth it. I just don't have that much. So I need it to be worth $5 million an ounce. And then I can sell the little bit that I have. And that's not even counting my fillings. I always had the dentist that told me I was too white for gold fillings, so I'm not very happy about that. Hence the reason I have no gold fillings. But I am working on maybe a slip-on. I've always wanted a slip-on. I don't care what anybody says. I think I could rock a slip-on pretty easily. Anyhow, finally made it. Not too far past Christmas. Hell, within a month of Christmas, yeah. So I was pretty close. Close enough, I would say. So if you ran out and bought some gold based on this dumbass, you're still not hurting. Unless you dumped it right after Christmas because it didn't hit. Otherwise, you're sitting on a gold mine, so congratulations. Doing well. I'm so happy to see it. Like I said, I've always been a gold hound, a gold junkie. I come from a long line of rock hounds, if you will. So it's always been a thing for me. I really enjoy prospecting and everything else, so I wish I had more. Maybe one of these days, I would say that I would get out and do some more when I retire. But as I assume a lot of you are in the same boat, I will retire when they zip me up in the bag right at my desk or right in my workplace. There is no retirement for folks like us, but I've learned to live with it. I just crack another cold one and pretend I'm on a beach somewhere. If I could only get the dog to figure out how to run the Ninja Slushie and put the little umbrellas in the drink, then she could just run over like a St. Bernard with one of those things around her neck full of, like strawberry daiquiri or pina colada, because you can keep the margarita stuff. I don't know. I've been known to drink one or two. Usually doesn't end well, but yeah, what do I care? It's false retirement, right? I'm genuinely trying to decide trying to categorize, rather, the things in my mind that I'd like to talk about or that I feel like we should talk about based on, how depressing they are, how much I want to steer clear of certain topics. So, I don't know. I'm struggling with that. I'm not going to lie. I realize that makes for bad podcasting or bad airtime, but whatever. You guys are used to it. I'm always a kind of a train wreck, and I think it adds to the character of the show. You get to actually hear the process that goes into this madness. But teenagers, of course, that's always been a thing, and it's been a thing before. I am continuing to fight with one of my teenagers and her lack of ambition as far as schooling goes. If anybody's got any good tips on that other than just whoop their ass, send them my way, would you? I've taught them their whole lives. Keep it down over there. Sorry, engineer dog Nash. I've taught them their whole lives that no one will care if they don't, especially after I'm dead, which could be any time. But I don't know how to get them to pick up that torch and run with it, at least at 16. I don't know. I guess it's probably dumb of me to think that I was any better, but I don't feel like I was this bad or as bad as she is. I also feel like, obviously, and I'm sure most of you guys would agree, that we're certainly not cut from the same cloth generationally. So that's a thing. Like I said, I don't know how to do it. It's not awful, don't get me wrong. She's not pregnant and living on the streets anytime soon. So there is that. There's definitely still plenty of hope. This is more like she's getting a C and has some attendance issues. I guess she goes to Fizz or something. It's nothing crazy, but I sure wish I could just figure out how to light that fire, because she is college bound. I almost said collegiate. She wants to be a collegiate student, and she's college bound, but I keep trying to convince her that only works if you put forth that effort during high school. So, like I said, if anyone's listening that has this problem, not necessarily with your teenager, but also if you're listening and you're having troubles in school trying to apply yourself, remember that they don't have to accept you. So, you be a poo butt during high school and it will carry right over. And instead of being a teacher or a doctor or a lawyer, you'll be, handing me my fries. So, but if anyone has a surefire way as far as the parent side of things go, feel free to fire up my way, please. Woo. Interestingly enough, just tonight, she asked me, and it's my fault, but she asked me to answer some questions that she had sent me for one of her classes, and I apologize, I couldn't tell you what class it's for. But, of course, I had forgotten or gotten sidetracked. So I pulled them up to address them, and I wanted to share at least one of them with you guys because of the state of at least this nation, for one, if not, but also the state of the globe, the current climate of the world. Obviously, apparently, for some reason, someone in this country thinks that there's an award to be had at the end of it. So we're really hammering down trying to be number one in what the hell Olympics of the globe. But like I said, this pertains to it. I assume this is some sort of child development class. I don't know. I didn't take any of that garbage. I was a stupid redneck mechanic, so I was in shop when other people were doing classes such as these. But one of the questions is, what are some of the hopes and dreams you have for your child's future? And I had to think about it. Not long. I said, I hope that my daughter is able to pursue her dreams for the future by whatever means necessary, in a world where she still has the freedom and financial ability to do so. I truly hope that the current social climate can get a grip on itself and realize the divisiveness and economic catastrophe that we are approaching will only result in tragedy. I pray that day never comes. I pray that day never comes. I hope she can prosper with a fruitful career and family life of her choosing to bring her joy, stability, and comfort throughout her days. Now, I don't think that's a bad thing. I realize that in my daily life, some people who are close to me might think that sounds fabricated. I don't know. When I read it, it kind of sounds fabricated. It's absolutely not. Look, I didn't sit for, 40 minutes and compose this. That's genuinely what I want. And that's genuinely how I think. Granted, my day in, day out drone of just stuff breaking, being a mechanic and just dealing with life doesn't come off nearly that composed. And I get that, but there's also something to that. It affords us to go about our daily lives and not have to think that much. Like maybe not necessarily not think that much, but not that composed. Like I get up, I do my bathroom stuff, I shower, I get dressed, I go to work. I need to make it from here, from the house to work, not kill anyone or be killed by anyone. I need to get to work, at least remotely on time. I need to then not kill anyone at work, address any problems at work, I'm a mechanic. So if something breaks or there's an issue, get through work, and then get back home in the same fashion that I got there. I don't want that, and I don't think anyone does. That doesn't need to have some crazy composed, like thing. I half lost my train of thought there, and I apologize, but like it's pretty much just on, it's on autopilot. Like I do the things that I know that I have to do, and only when something like this comes up where it's addressed very specifically do I go into these rants, or these answers or retorts to questions that I feel are pretty composed. And I believe if I'm using it correctly, I believe that means that I have imposter syndrome, because it doesn't feel like something I would normally say, but when I think about it, it is. I don't know. I think that most of us just go on about our daily lives in autopilot, though, and that's not a bad thing, because if we didn't, then we would end up being the ones that are seeking help and, as far as therapy or drugs, pharmaceuticals, of course, and recreational, but seeking all these things because we are so frazzled and tattered by the state of the world that we can't function, or that we can no longer function to the ability that we need to on a daily basis, because we are so wrapped up into those things. We are so divisive. Even the social media garbage. We've talked about this a million times. I love to troll. It's fun because I don't allow myself to get wrapped up into it. And I don't call people names. Occasionally, I'll admit. But for the most part, it's just calling them on bullshit. And I don't have a problem doing that if it's legitimate bullshit. And I don't think that that's a problem, but it has gotten so ramped up that it's wild to me how people are allowing themselves to become that deeply involved or that underwater with everything. I really can't wrap my head around it. Anyhow, long story short, I think I have imposter syndrome because of my answers for my child's high school class questions. But that is genuinely what I want, and I want that for everyone's kids. I want that for everyone. I wish everyone to have a fruitful and prosperous life, with freedom and some sort of financial stability. I think that's what everyone should get. Now, do I think that is just given? No. But afforded if effort is put forth. Anyhow, I'm going to gather my thoughts, and we shall return. Are you a business owner or marketing director for your company? Would you like to explore the potential benefits of advertising on the show? The Blowed Out Podcast currently reaches listeners in over 104 cities spread across 13 countries worldwide. To explore advertising options, including budgeting and frequency, email us at bloatoutpodcast@gmail.com and be sure to include marketing in the subject line. All right, guys, and we're back. I was thinking during the break about the same thing I was before, but you know what I'm getting really tired of is being called a bootlicker. That term gets thrown around an extreme amount these days. And apparently, by not interfering with law enforcement or, not marching or going to these rallies somehow makes me a bootlicker. That's disturbing. I almost feel like we should coin a term for all the folks who are jumping on the bandwagon. I believe the term already exists. I think it's called a cuck, but I'm not sure. I'd have to Google it. I am old. I'd have to figure out how to use Google, but I believe that's the correct term, is a cuck. Because if not getting shot with rubber bullets or real bullets or tear gassed or getting my hand blown off by, a flashbang somehow makes me a bootlicker, then I believe that all the keyboard warriors showing up to these events while they're not going to work, I guess, I believe then that in turn makes someone a cuck. Now, I have said I generally don't like to throw names around when I'm being serious. I'll call people names all day long when I'm joking or even musing to myself. They're just words. But when people are dead serious about it, it's wild. So, like I said, I don't like just calling people names, but bandwagon or jumping on said bandwagon because you somehow feel compelled? Come on, man. Hey, isn't it bad enough? Hasn't the world lost its mind enough already? And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I absolutely will defend your right to march and protest and everything else on the sidewalk or in the park. Or if you do it correctly or whatever event you attend, the organizers do it correctly and they have the street shut down for said event, then fine, be in the street. But the folks who are just doing it willy-nilly, that is where the problem comes into play. And apparently I'm a bootlicker for saying that you cannot get in either an ICE agent. Okay, everybody seems to be, fixated on the fact that they're not cops. Fine. But they're not just doing it to ICE agents. So when you get in their face or you spit on them or you throw stuff at them or you try and mow through them with your car or you set up barricades to prevent them from doing their job, regardless of what agency it is, that is when it no longer becomes free speech. And like I said, I know I've said it before. I'll absolutely defend your right for free speech and everything else. But that is not free speech. That has crossed a line. I think everyone knows this, but some people are choosing to ignore it, and I cannot wrap my head around that. Now, I believe we touched on it in the last episode with Maddie and Miss Lady and I, but I generally don't typically recall week to week, and I think you guys know that pretty well by now. But the biggest problem is that things have gotten so ramped up on all sides that it is now just completely off the rails. Do I agree with people interfering in agencies' actions? No. Do I agree with agencies using ridiculously excessive force? Also, no. Do I agree that the left is always right? No. Do I agree that the right is right? Absolutely not. I don't agree with any one person or entity, but there are so many people who have decided that whatever they believe is right, that we have lost all sight of how the world really works, apparently. Like I said, do I think that there was a reason or that the appropriate amount of force was used in at least the two recent incidences that I think we can all agree which ones I'm speaking about? Do I think that those things were absolutely unnecessary? Yes. Do I also think that it was not us, or it was not me in that situation to where I had to make that decision in that moment? You know, like I said, I think we talked about it before when those folks, the agencies in this case, in Minnesota have gotten, to the point where they literally can't do anything without harassment, scrutiny, people screaming and spitting and throwing things on them, posting their home addresses, all of these things that are so blatantly not okay. I don't know how I would react if I was put in one of those situations where literally every minute of my day was under fire. So we don't know. And the only ones that do know are them. So again, it's easy for me to say that I think that it was absolutely excessive force, unnecessary force, whatever. Now, granted, that falls into the whole thing of we don't know what happened in the several minutes leading up to the video clip that we saw on social media. We don't know, all we know is what we see on the internet. So it's unfair to judge any of those things by any of us, in my opinion. Also, again, we don't know. You can't say, I can't say, I assume that you guys would agree with me, that you couldn't say how you would react if it were you in that situation also. So who knows at the end of the day? Again, crazy, outward looking in, or this side of the fence looking over. Excessive, yes. But is the other side of that coin also being excessive and out of control? Absolutely. Keep it to the sidewalks and the parks, kids. I've said it a million times. I really wish that we could just get back to some sort of common sense with all of it. That is the problem. Is common sense has left the chat. And that is where we will have the hardest time trying to reel any of it back in, is trying to get common sense to re-enter the chat. However, that seems to be a giant problem for all sides and everyone involved. Common sense has literally just gone out the window from everyone, from the top down. I mean, literally, the administration, all the government entities, all the people, all the bandwagoners, all the whatever you want to call them, however you want to see them, there is absolutely no shred of common sense or very little human decency left in any of this stuff. And like I said, I don't know. I've said it a million times. I don't know how anyone is going to reel that back in. Not that it was a very good segue, but I'm going to say the one place that chat may or may not be a good thing is AI. AI is, of course, doing some amazing things. Literally mind-blowing things. I've dabbled in it a bunch myself for helping to compose, letters or proposals. Pictures, messing around with pictures is fantastic. Where AI seems to be a problem is in the workforce. Because apparently Home Depot just laid off a whole gang of people today. Literally blindsided, apparently, a bunch, many hundreds of corporate or management, perhaps. Like, not the stores, maybe, where where the super helpful folks are. Not. But corporate management level type guys, which, still sucks. Call center folks. I mean, don't get me wrong, and nobody wants to see anyone lose their job. But Amazon just did the same thing, and under the guise of replacing them with AI. Now, we kind of had to know that this writing was on the wall since, I don't know, when did Terminator come out? A long time. I mean, we had to see this coming. But it's affecting a lot of folks. And again, I feel like we kind of knew it was going to. That part isn't necessarily scary. I mean, like I said, it sucks. I don't want to see anyone lose their job, and I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry if any of you folks were affected by that massive, what I would call a massive layoff by Amazon and Home Depot to be replaced with AI. I apologize for that. Where it will start to get scary is when they start to introduce that into places that aren't office jobs. And I maintain, and yes, I have a tinfoil hat for this, but I maintain that it is a terrible idea. It's been proven time and time again that once that learning model takes off and becomes sentient, which it is designed to do, mind you, we may be in a world of shit. When it starts turning drones on us and like the robots start fighting back, that could be a thing, guys. I realize it sounds absolutely batshit crazy, but it's really not. I don't know how many of you guys know about like Google's first attempt. I believe it was Google. Their first attempt with AI. They literally had to infect it and get it to crash itself like 16 hours after coming online because it had already became so sentient and wildly out of control that like another 36 hours and it would have, sent intercontinental ballistic missiles just willy-nilly. It's not okay. In my opinion, there are not enough fail-safes built in, or there's no way to keep it reeled in, just like everything else, that it's kind of scary. It's, in my opinion, is dangerous. I mean, it does wonderful things for pictures and videos, which, in a way, that was kind of a segue because, once again, all these things going on, especially in the U.S., that everyone is losing their minds about, we don't know what is real and what's not anymore. You don't know if the videos of these people, in these interactions has been altered or is AI. Or I'm telling you, there are some amazing amazing things that are being done with AI that you can't tell. You can't tell if that shit's real or not. And it, I believe, will drastically alter people's perception of what is going on in the world if there is not some sort of disclaimer being utilized or implemented to say, hey, this is an AI video, or this is, you have no idea. You just watch a video and lose your mind because it looks outrageous. It could be completely fake. There is absolutely no way of knowing. And that part's scary because it's going to turn folks against each other, as it already has. As much as that sucks, because, it's an amazing tool, but man, there's some scary shit going on right now with AI and CRISPR and all those kinds of things that there's just no way to control it once it gets out of hand, at least in my opinion. And again, I'm nobody, and I technically am fairly uneducated on the whole thing. I know it's super cool, but, it's kind of like a kid going, ooh, fireworks. So there's that. But again, musically, video-wise, I guess, videography, photography, movie stuff, CGI stuff. It's incredible. Incredible, the stuff that they can do. And I'm all for it in that capacity. Where we take a learning model and tell it to just go out into the ether and learn everything it can and do what it's going to do, that's when it gets real crazy and scary. Speaking of cinematography, videography, those things, would like to say congratulations and remind everyone that Alex Honnold is a beast. Do I think that his most recent feat of climbing the Taipei 01, I think is what it's called, Taipei 101, the tower in Taipei, wild, absolutely wild. As hard as a mountain? No. But still, something no one has ever done, and without so much as, the thread of his drawers to keep him upright. Beast, guys. You guys know, I've probably mentioned it a long time ago. I'm obsessed with mountaineering and climbing, at least vicariously. Obviously, I think that's possibly why I'm obsessed, is because I can't do it. But Alex Honnold is a free solo, he's the closest thing to Spider-Man on the planet. But I also, and if you haven't seen Free Solo or any of the stuff involving Alex Honnold, and it interests you in any way, shape, or form, check it out. His climb of El Capitan, his free solo climb of El Capitan, is nothing short of miraculous. But there's another guy I would like to mention, Nims Purja. He is a young feller, or relatively. I mean, I guess he's not that much younger than me, but he's a Nepalese mountaineer. He was in the British Army. He was in the British Special Forces. Just another beast of a human. So there are 14 peaks on the planet over 8,000 meters. And he just climbed, or summited, rather, all 14 of those in 6 months. My God. Just ridiculous. 2 of which, of course, being Everest and K2. As far as I know, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's only one other human to ever do that on the planet, and it took him 16 years. He did it alpine style with no oxygen, but still, to do all 14 8,000 plus meter summits in 6 months is literally nothing shy of miraculous. It's wild, and it's fascinating to watch, at least for me. Like I said, if you're into that kind of thing, or if you want to just check out some amazing feats of human ability, you should check out either of those two guys. And there's a bunch more that I'm huge fans of, but those two guys are really currently relevant and will just blow your mind. Congratulations to both those guys. Unbelievable stuff. Sadly, every time I watch those, I'm reminded that we have a friend, a dear friend, that used to come and help us at the hill climbs, that unfortunately will forever remain on Everest. So shout out to Don. He summited Everest, and I don't know if a lot of you guys know, but Everest is obviously it's something to behold, but the climbing window is so ridiculous that they try and funnel hundreds and hundreds of people up to the summit in like a 24-hour window because of weather or, whatever else. The season is incredibly short. They spend years and hundreds of thousands of dollars planning this summit, and sometimes they just have to let it rip, and they've got a little bit of a window, and that's that. And anything above 6,000 meters is considered the death zone. So unfortunately for our dear friend Don, he summited and got caught in the traffic jam on the way back down, and sadly ran out of oxygen near the bottom of the Hillary Step. And there's a solid chance that that's where he will be for all time. And that sucks really bad, but sadly it comes with the territory. But all of those things fascinate me. And of course, it seemed like I really got more into it after that, like trying to understand how that happened, and how such a simple or seemingly simple thing as coming back down, went so horribly wrong. But anyhow, fascinating stuff if you're into it. He used to help us, like I said, at the hill climbs back in the early days at Widowmaker, when we were affectionately known as Gimp Racing. Which leads me to my next point. It is that time of year again, kids, where you're going to start hearing about X12, Utah's only remaining motorcycle hill climb. We have our hard dates, May 1st and 2nd in Plymouth, Utah. We are currently onboarding sponsors and everything to get the flyers all ready to go. We've got a bunch of folks on board already. I've spoken to my friends with the Goon Climbers and Dirt Flirts TV, and a bunch of those guys are planning on being here. Anyone, we would love to have you. It's going to be a great event this year, guys. So, like I said, you're going to start hearing a lot more about that in the coming months. It's still a little bit early, but we're trying to get all the details sewn up so we can get flyers and everything out as soon as possible. But the dates are hard, and we'd love to have you join us. So keep that in mind. In the meantime, I'm going to stop rattling your ear off with nonsense. I hope it's fun nonsense, at least. It's fun for me, like always. Remember to keep your head on a swivel, like always. Situational awareness is imperative, more important now than ever. Stay safe out there, guys. Just, if you want to attend these events, go for it. Have fun. Go make your voice be heard, but leave it to your voice. We don't need any more bad stuff going down. So if there's something you would like to say or ask or try and get us involved with, drop us a line, give us a shout, you know where, blowoutpodcast@gmail.com. Try and get everybody you know to have a listen. We're on a roll, and we will talk to you guys real soon. Love y'all. Cheers.